Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tales from the Post. We got a Marine in the house today. You're actually the first Marine. I failed to tell you this earlier.
Oh, boy.
But you're the first Marine. I have some more lined up. I've been looking. It's not just all Army.
Hopefully not the last.
No. Y'all are hard to get a hold of. It's Highlands County here. We've got, like I said, I'm a member of the VFW, the American Legion. Y'all just like fucking don't exist.
Well, we're the most exclusive fighting force. I'll say that much. But
okay, you're coming in swinging. I see.
I'd say so. I mean, in my experience,
you are the smallest, and you have to promote fast. Y'all have the longest. I think y'all still have the longest boot camp / basic training,
we do.
Right?
We do.
It's like 13 weeks.
Yeah, and all the organizations, the veteran organizations I'm a part of, I'm the token.
You're the token?
I'm the token. Every organization has to have a Marine. And even where I work with a bunch of I work with a bunch of Navy veterans, and there's one Army veteran. But yeah, I'm the only Marine Corps veteran, so they call me token.
All right. His real name is Taylor Elders. He's a retired staff sergeant from the Marine Corps. So, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Do you have any families that actually served?
So, with my family, it kind of skipped a generation. My father was not in the service. My mother was not in the service, but both of their fathers were. My dad's dad, he was in the Air Force during the Korean War, and he was stationed in Germany, and he would work on the airplanes. My mother's father is a World War II vet. Okay, he was an Army medic.
Doc.
Yeah. Double Purple Heart recipient, Bronze Star recipient.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I didn't really learn a whole lot about him until I was an adult and I was already in the Marine Corps. So my mother's father, he passed before I ever met him.
Yeah,
about 5 years before I was born.
Well, I've been trying to get World War II vets on. I've had Korean War vets, Vietnam vets, some GWAT vets.
Yeah, he would have been 102 by now, so good luck with that one.
Well, there's a 98 World War II vet at the nursing home here, and I went and I talked to him, and he's on the fence about it. Because whenever I checked, Florida only had like 117 World War II vets left.
I believe it, yeah.
The stories are dwindling away,
mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to capture them. But I can't. I don't force anybody to come on. I just offer them the opportunity.
Yep.
So that's your family history, World War II vet, and the other one was
Korean War vet.
Korean War.
Yeah, Air Force. But it really, as far as like my decision to enlist, it really didn't have a whole lot of effect as far as my decision. So, for instance, on my mother's side, a good portion of her brothers, because she's one of 7, a good portion of her brothers either went Army or Navy. And at the end of the day, the deciding factor for me was, I was here in Highlands County. We had, at the time, 3 recruiters, and only 2 were in office. It's either the Army recruiter or the Marine Corps recruiter.
The Air Force one was always shut down. Always.
Yeah, the Air Force guy. Who knows where that guy was?
They're not even there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Marines actually got their own building now. I forget the name of the plaza. I think it's Fairmount Plaza.
Over by the movie theater?
Yeah, and the pool hall and the bar, which just makes sense.
But
the movie theater shut down too.
Oh, I wouldn't know. It's been a while.
The movie theater's closed.
But no, yeah, it was a matter of between the Army and the Marine Corps. And if I'm being completely candid, I used to work at a gas station when I was in college before I joined the Marine Corps, and there was this lady that would always come by the gas station, and she was, how do I put this?
Attracted to a Marine uniform?
No. Look, I probably couldn't count on my hands and toes how many teeth she had in her mouth. All right, okay, so whatever, not a big deal. And she'd always come hit on me. And then I met her husband a couple weeks later because he came in with her, and it was the Army recruiter. And so that completely turned me off from the Army, 100%. Like, dude, like if this guy is having his wife hit on me at the gas station, I'm probably not going to want to join the Army.
The dependopotamus.
Triceratops?
The dependopotamus will protect what's hers while seeking new territory to conquer.
But I mean, like, yeah, I was literally working in a gas station, like, had no military affiliation, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, I saw that Army recruiter, and I just thought, dude, his life must be miserable. And then there was the Marine recruiter, and Staff Sergeant Long, dude, great guy. He was a single guy that got stuck here in Highlands County. Okay.
I feel so bad for him.
But you know what? He would take life by the truckload. Like, I mean, he just looked like he was enjoying his life. So, of course, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, guy that's looking around to see what options are available. Like, man, he looks like he's a happy guy. I think the Marine Corps is a better option. Now, granted, I will tell you this.
You found out it was a facade?
It was a fugazi. A fugazi. So, like, my older brother, he was a Marine. He was a Sebring High School graduate, and my younger brother was a Marine. I didn't join because my older brother was a Marine. It's just when I wanted to talk to him about it, because my mind was kind of made up, he was a great reference for material and just trying to give me information like, hey, this is what you can expect. This is what's
they're going to give you the truth and compared to what the recruiter will give you.
But I'll never understand. Like, every Marine you ever talk to, they never speak about the Crucible. It's like this hush little secret, like, oh, what's going to happen to me those last 3 days at boot camp? Like, oh, it's just going to be an amalgamation of all your training all together. Like, what does that mean?
Yep, no sleep, hell, you're going to be tired, you're going to be dirty, you're going to be, like, worn the fuck out.
Absolutely.
Like a rubber band with no elasticity.
Yeah.
The Army has something, too, like that. Like, we have our final ruck marches and shit. But nothing in compared to the Crucible.
But to get, like, back to the point, like, so no, I ended up, like, I graduated at Sebring High School, and I went straight to South Florida Community College, and I flunked out of my second semester of college. I just didn't have the discipline.
You don't have to convince me you're a Marine. I got you.
I just like the discipline. I think a lot of my issue is that I wasn't really a fan of where I was from, and then just to go to college to be completely in that same environment, I just wanted to move on. Like, I wanted to go do something else. I wanted to go have fun, not see the same people, like experience this college life. And at that point, it was, okay, well, either I'm going to be a dairy farmer or I'm going to enlist. So I enlisted.
Well, Marines, I will give this to them. They are disciplined, and they have, like, some of the highest morale for having the shittiest conditions.
Oh, it's fake. Every bit of it's fake, and we all know it. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Y'all wear that mask well.
It's called false motivation. Like, so we all know it sucks. Everybody knows it sucks, but we are just going to sound like we're having the absolute time of our lives, because that, at the end of the day, is going to, like, so let's say I'm cleaning latrines. Okay. Let's say I am cleaning latrines. I am shoveling shit, literally. All right. I'm going to say, man, it is a beautiful day to be alive. I don't mean it. In my soul of souls, in my heart of hearts, I do not mean that. I mean, like, I hate life right now. But everyone on the line is like, you know what? It is a beautiful day. And we all know I'm lying. Every one of us. But it's the camaraderie that we have with each other, and kind of the ability to make the best out of the situation, just because, like, hey, this sucks. So we're going to have a good time doing this. We're going to yell. We're going to scream. It's going to sound like everyone thinks that we are just in love with this, but really, we're secretly venting.
The Marines, to me, seem like a frat, like an aggressive frat brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like a fraternity that's exposed to dangerous situations, but once you get out of the Marines, y'all are still tight-knit. Y'all are happy, smile on the face the whole time. I mean, Marines know they're bullet sponges, right?
Yes.
Y'all get shitty equipment, you get hand-me-downs, you steal from every other branch to accommodate.
We do more with less. Yes.
Yeah. But I have to commend y'all. Like, y'all are... I'm trying to say something polite or nice without offending. It's like with the biggest window to lick. It's like you're...
I get it.
Okay.
I totally get it. Yeah.
It's like
a pig in slop. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's like you're so happy with nothing, essentially, but y'all still get the job done.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things, like with the relationships that I built in the Marine Corps. Let's face it, okay? So I can't speak for what you had to deal with in your military service, but for me, I wasn't a fan of the Marine Corps. Like, I wasn't a fan of the structure.
Isn't that blasphemy? Like,
it's okay. I can say it now. I'm safe.
Like, I'm surprised you didn't catch fire.
It's okay. I wasn't a fan
of the Marine Corps. It's
Chesty
like Chesty Puller's fucking yelling at you right now.
But you see, that's the thing. Chesty Puller doesn't make the Marine Corps. Okay? The Marines make the Marine Corps. And that's what I fell in love with, was the Marines. All right? You got to understand that bond and that connection, that we're having, like, out there in the suck with no gear whatsoever in rigorous conditions, that's somewhere where the best friendships are ever made. And that's what really ties the whole Marine Corps together, is the Marines itself. Like the formations, the training, the rigorous, uniform inspections. That doesn't make the Marine Corps great. What makes the Marine Corps great is the Marines themselves and the relationships you build with the Marines.
Well, what you just said sparked another analogy. So forget the whole window licking thing. The Marines are more like trying to complete a game on hard mode.
Okay.
For the younger audience out there, that's more relatable.
Brutal. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm going to play Grand Theft Auto without stealing a car. Right?
Yeah, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to walk the whole time. Yep.
Punching every cop along the way.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. All right, so we haven't even gotten to your basic yet. Fuck. So you on the East Coast, so you went to Parris Island, correct?
I did. Yep. I went to Parris Island.
Is that North Carolina, or what is?
It is South Carolina.
South Carolina.
But it might as well be another freaking country. So yeah, I went to Parris Island in March of 2010. And if there's anyone thinking about going to basic training, do not go right before the high school graduates go. Just telling you right now. So one of the worst parts I will never step foot on Parris Island. I don't care if Chesty Puller's ghost came up and told me that I needed to go. I'm not going to Parris Island again.
What about Daly's?
No, it's not happening. Dan Daly? No, I'm sorry. Sergeant Major, I apologize, but it ain't happening. No, so the thing is that they weaned down the numbers in boot camp really, really small right before the high school graduates come in. And what they do is they take, like, the new drill instructors. That's what we call the guys that wear the Smoky Bears.
The ones that want to prove something and they're trying to...
Well, I wouldn't go that far with it, but what they do is they take the new drill instructors, and this is like their training. So you'll have platoons of like 40 and 35, but they'll have 5 drill instructors just to kind of get them ready for the new cycle of high school graduates, because that's when the numbers get real big. That's when that's when recruiting just goes insane. And usually these drill instructors, they're used to having 3 or 4 drill instructors to 80 recruits. Now you have 5 on 30.
There's an upside to that too, because did y'all have mass punishment?
Oh, everything was mass punishment.
There's less people in the platoon, so 30 compared to 80, all you need is one fuck up for mass punishment.
Here's the problem,
so you cut out 50 people.
Here's the problem, though, okay? That'd be great. Like, if you have a hawk trying to eat 1 rabbit, that's fine. But when you have 5 hawks on 1 rabbit, no, that's not how that works.
They're going to make you fuck up.
Because we would have, there was this saying in the Marine Corps, you have what's called stanchion recruits. So essentially they're recruits that hide behind the stanchions or the pillars in the squad bay, and you just never know they existed. Okay, they went ghost the entire time just because they never fucked up. They were just quiet. Like, dude, we graduated with you. Who the hell are you? Yeah, okay.
I never fucked up, really.
Yeah.
The only reason my drill sergeants knew I existed is because my PT test. Like, they're like, damn, he's good, and that's it.
But that stanchion recruit didn't exist. I mean, you got to understand, these drill instructors had us on a first name, middle name, last 4 basis. It was ridiculous. They knew everything about. There was nothing you could ever get away with, and it was rough. So we started with a platoon of 35, and then graduated with a platoon of 26. It got stupid small. So yeah, I'll never go back to Parris Island. It's not happening.
I entered and left with the same amount of people.
Mm-mm.
One of them took...
We actually gained people and still managed to get 26. Well, people would get dropped from prior platoons, and we still managed to have lower numbers.
Well, we had a guy who you got to go buy the razor because you can't use your own that you brought in or anything. You know, they give you that little American flag card, and you got to go down to the... For us, it was a PX. I don't know what y'all called it. BX.
It was like a freedom card, and yeah, it was the PX.
Yeah, you have to go buy all your stuff for basic. Your razors, your deodorant, shampoo, or soap. Well, we had a guy, and you're forced to shave every day in the military.
Of course.
He broke apart his razor and cut himself to get out because he had separation anxiety from his girlfriend. What the fuck? So he couldn't make it. They're like, okay, they put him in the orange vest, took his shoelaces, all that shit, and he had to be escorted 24/7 by somebody. Well, we had another guy who came in later and replaced him. He was a holdover because he got injured at a certain week, and if something happens past the range qualification week or some shit, then you can recycle halfway through basic, something like that. Well, he came in like that, and he got us in so much fucking trouble.
I don't think we had a recruit that wanted to inflict self-harm, but we did have a sleepwalker. And it was the craziest experience I've ever had in my life.
They kick him out?
Oh, absolutely. So what it was is, of course, like, there's only 30 of us, and we want to help each other. Like, dude, we're going to make this through. We're going to get through this together, no matter what. And Kirkland, okay? He was like the 6'3" ginger-headed kid, and he legitimately would sleepwalk. And I mean, it makes sense. Like later on down the world, like I'm like thinking to myself, sleepwalking is because you're trying to get rid of the stress in your life. I mean, that's really what it is. Is that sleepwalking is like a stress relief.
I never thought about it that way.
So his body, and when he's going to sleep, responds to the stress in his life by sleepwalking. Sure.
And
whatever.
in boot camp, you got a lot of fucking stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Kirkland would get up every night in the middle of the night, like stand at attention and start screaming like I started in the middle of the night. And then one night, I mean, we were already halfway through boot camp, and he got caught by the drill instructors. We have drill instructors that sleep, and
you got one roaming.
Yeah, the vicinity area. And, we had to end up logging him in every time he sleptwalked. And eventually, yeah, he ended up getting kicked out. But I never thought I would experience like a hardcore sleepwalker.
We had a sleepwalker too.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever got caught though, because he would sleepwalk and
no, you could not catch this guy.
Well, he was a sleepwalker and a bedwetter. But we also had a Kirkland.
Okay.
But he wasn't 6'3" and ginger. He was like 5'11", and he had long hair, and they shaved how they shave your head whenever you get there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, he came down with pneumonia while we were out some training. I think it was the live movement or the live fire movement drills, where it's like you hide behind stuff and you and your partner exchange shooting down targets, whatever. Well, he went to the drill sergeant. Like, drill sergeant, I don't feel good. He's like, well, too fucking bad. Obviously, being drill sergeant. Well, he went pale. Next morning, formation, he's white as a ghost. And he's got a fever of like 103, 104 something.
Nice.
They rushed him it was Fort Benning at the time. Now it's Fort Moore, I think it is.
Okay.
Well, they had to rush him all the way over, I think, Fort Gordon for surgery. They had to remove one of his lungs because the pneumonia killed his damn lung.
Oh, wow.
And he was recycled.
They recycled him with one lung?
Yeah. And it was actually later.
What a badass!
It may have been half of his lung.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. I remember him specifically saying that half of his lung was dead. I just don't know how much.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
But this was right before our final march.
Gotcha.
So Army's final march. What they do is, like the week prior to us graduating, we jump on a cattle truck, and they take us miles out to the convoy firing range where they put us all in the back of a 5-ton.
See, we never. So the only time that we'd go in a truck is if we were going to church.
So no, we were marching to church.
No, we were rucked everywhere that we went. So like if we had to go to the range, we rucked to the range.
We had to march to church.
Okay.
But they took us out to this where we'd sit in the back of 5-tons and shoot off stuff. Gotcha. And then after that, we would dig our graves and fighting positions.
Sure, yeah, I got you.
We'd dig our graves and sit there. The next morning, we'd wake up, eat chow, fill our graves back up, break down our tents, but it's really just our fucking ponchos that we put together, the 2-man pup tents.
Yeah.
And then we would march. we marched all the way back to our company, and the final ruck march is the longest stretch, where you wake up. Guess what? You'll eat breakfast chow. You're not eating it again until that night, right? So you just march the rest of the fucking way, and then we'll have dinner, and everybody's. And usually, what they did for us, once we completed it, they just ordered this nasty ass pizza, like Chuck E. Cheese. Actually, worse than Chuck E. Cheese type pizza.
Okay.
It's like cardboard with fucking shredded cheese on it.
Okay.
But that was our like reward. Kind of
Sure.
how like after the Crucible, y'all go in and you got to get whatever the fuck you want.
The Warrior's breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Warrior's breakfast. Which, funny story about that. Okay. So I found out that I had appendicitis after the Warrior's breakfast. So I'm in boot camp, right? And part of the Crucible, one of the things that they do is they've got this thing set up where it's like a gladiator's arena, so to speak.
Is it the pugil stick shit?
Well, it is. There's pugil sticks involved, but I mean, you do pugil sticks in different types of training. This is so. What it was is you'd have to go through. There was 2 tunnels, and it would go to this gladiator pit, almost like an octagon, so to speak. All right. However, during this zigzag through the tunnels, you know, you get beat on a little bit because you got to make it to the pit. You got to make it to your opponent. So you go in there, pugil stick and everything else, and you're getting beat on. And then you finally get to the gladiator pit, and there's your opponent. You know, he's just got beat on too. And so what I ended up doing is my drill instructor, before he let me go, he's like, Elders, I just want you to dare throw him. I don't care what you're doing with your pugil stick. Train him. Wreck his life. Go straight through his soul with your force. Forget about the pugil stick. When he falls to the ground, get the kill. Done. Aye, sir. Not a problem. So what do I do?
Oh, that's right. Y'all call y'all's drill instructors, drill sergeants, sir.
Just sir.
Because they're like, aren't they like they're not commissioned, but they're
sergeants.
treated as.
No, well, they're sergeants and staff sergeants. I think
Probably yeah, they're still enlisted.
They are,
but because they're a drill instructor. Like we had drill sergeants. They're E5 through E7.
Sure,
they're still sergeant. They're just drill sergeants. But
well, you gotta understand, anyone that was in uniform that had already gotten the globe anchor, or if they already got their anchors, for instance, because we did deal with naval personnel, it was just sir and ma'am. Period. It just kept it that simple, just sir and ma'am. So everybody.
Now we would get the shit beat out of us because they would say, "Don't call me sir. I work for a living."
No, not at all.
Yeah, like it was.
Now there was no like.
You addressed them.
There was no I sergeant, no I staff sergeant. It was I sir, yes sir, no ma'am, yes ma'am. Period.
Yeah, we had to call them drill sergeant. If they had a round brown, it was drill sergeants.
Gotcha.
And then obviously we had to call the first sergeant, and not everybody, a lot of people consistently fucked it up, so we had to do the duck walk up and down Clay Hills with our fucking weapons, slapping into each other's fucking face because we're all...
Yeah, we're playing Milton Bradley games over there.
So everybody's down, your ass is damn near touching the ground because your
Sure,
knees are right there, and you're grabbing your buddy, and you have to put your weapon on his shoulder, and they fucking make you do this duck walk, and your weapon and shit's getting slapped in the face. The best place you could be is on the back, because the guy at the front's getting fucking slapped, and he's pulling everybody.
Yeah.
If you're in the back, you don't have a weapon slap in your face. You're just hitting the guy in front of you.
But so, anyways, like we're getting ready. I'm in the gladiator arena, and I am like steam training towards this guy.
You need more vitamins and minerals?
I'm still good for now. So, steam training towards this guy, and what does he do? He just gets real low and just hunkers, like, for the impact, okay? So what that ends up doing, like, ends up hitting me, like, here in my stomach or whatnot. I get the kill, but the problem was it knocked the wind out of me, and my pancreas ended up folding over itself. So I guess when that happens, you get an infection. I don't know. I'm not a doc.
Did they remove your appendix?
No. So what ended up happening was with that, and then I got pancreatitis, and I didn't realize any of this. So I'm doing the entire crucible, the 2-3 day event with pancreatitis, and we hadn't eaten anything. We hadn't really slept. And then finally when I get to eat something, I have this severe pain in my stomach, and they had to rush me off to the ER, and then had to rush me off to, I think it's Beaufort Memorial or Beaufort Hospital or some bullshit outside of the base. But I did get to graduate on time. But no, I mean, I literally, I went through the entire crucible with pancreatitis, in severe pain, and didn't realize it whatsoever until it was all done. And the doctor's telling me, this neglect, you could have died. Like, oh, okay. And I'm literally like in a civilian hospital because I don't own any clothes. I am in camouflage utilities.
And you didn't have your Eagle Globe and Anchor at that time?
No, not that. Well, no, I got the EGA.
Point at it, like, look, this is why. I wanted this.
I mean, I got the EGA, and I even had my little mosquito wings because I was a PFC, you know. So I had the ring.
PFC.
Yeah. So
your PFCs are fuzzies?
No, the PFC. So like it's just.
Are you talking about the rifles or swords, whatever that's under cross?
So the rifles are Lance Corporal. So you got no rank insignia, private, and then you've got we call them the mosquito wings. It's just the wings, you know, and that's just the chevron, and that's PFC. And then once you get the rifles, that's Lance Corporal, and so on and so forth from there.
Okay.
But yeah, like I'm literally there in my boot socks, camouflage pants, and my skivvy shirt in a hospital, and I'm sitting next to this kid who had a bicycle accident, who's like losing part of his leg. He's 11 years old, screaming over there, and his mom thinks I'm like a war veteran in Beaufort Memorial Hospital. What did they do to you? Oh, ma'am, I was just in boot camp.
Wow.
But so like while they got to do like there's certain events that they get to do after Crucible where they go help out and they go get their hair cut. You know, they go get things ready to go join Big Marine Corps. I was in the hospital, but I did get to graduate on time. But yeah, I mean that was kind of my boot camp story.
Holy fuck. Do you want to do your AIT?
Look, I'll tell you. So after boot camp in the Marine Corps, so if you are not a combat-related MOS, so like if you don't have an O3 designation,
well, they picked your MOS for you, right?
They do. So if you don't have an O3 designation, so that's our grunt MOS, then you go to what's called MCT, Marine Combat Training.
I thought y'all's truck driver was an O3. It was like O337 or something.
No, truck. So for like mechanics, because that's what I dealt with predominantly, is 3521, I think is what that is. Truck driver, I have no idea what they are. But O3, so you got O311, which is your basic rifleman. Okay. Then you've got your O3, 31s, which is machine gunner. I worked a lot with O351s and O352s. That's tow and scout platoons. Okay. You know? So yeah, like I said, any of that O3 designation, what they do is they will go off to, Infantry Training Battalion, ITB. And that's a 2-month-long process, and they'll go do that after boot camp. That's their MOS school. And then
holy shit.
Yep. And so for anyone else, like for me, at the time I was a 2800. So like that's an open MOS. I can go in any kind of 2800 field. I went to MCT. So like your admin bubbas, you know, even you don't have any guys going in EOD below E5, but any other MOS that's not O3, you're going to go to Marine Corps Combat Training, MCT, for 1 month.
That's what he called it.
MCT?
I think that's what he called it.
Okay. Yeah, so you go to MCT, you kind of learn about the crew serve weapons. It's real brief. It's real quick. I mean, they're getting you in, they're getting you out. And then during this whole MCT, like I've got this pancreatitis diagnosis. I'm not worth a lick to anyone. I did pretty well. And so then after you do your MCT, you go to your MOS school. So, I mean, like what in the Army they call it?
It's AIT. It's like Advanced Individual Training.
Sure. I mean, there's a bunch of names for it based on like what type of school you go. So like I was a comm technician. So everyone called it, oh, you're going to comm school. So I ended up going from Paris Island, you know, for 13 weeks. Then I went to Camp Lejeune, and that was
Camp Lejeune. Did you drink the water?
Yeah, I definitely drank the water.
You may be entitled to compensation.
I know, right? I know.
You'll see the
commercials. I'll tell you about that later too. So it did that for 4 months, and then immediately after you graduate, they kick you off on a plane, and I went to 29 Palms, California.
Oh fuck!
For almost an entire year.
So you went from Lejeune to hell.
I mean, I was in hell for almost half my career. And yeah, I mean, like, I'll give you the timeline on that.
I'm Army, and I know what 29 Palms is, and I know every
I've been
Marine.
to Fort Polk. I've trained in Fort Polk.
Fort Polk is
I would
swamp.
take Fort Polk over 29 Palms any day of the week.
Wow.
And I would take 29 Palms over Fort Hood any day of the week.
Well, Fort Hood's nicer than Polk. Polk's fucking mosquitoes will carry you away.
Well,
It's like a shopping. I want that one.
Killeen, Texas actually has things in Killeen, Texas. Yeah, because we had to shoot missiles and whatnot.
The biggest thing around Fort
Polk.
Polk is just Fort Polk.
Yeah.
So where's Fort Polk? By a tree? Like what?
But there's green. There is green. There is sand with water. Okay, so that's the whole difference. But anyways, so I did comm school for a year, becoming at the time it was 2846 ground communications repair technician, and then they ended up changing it like right after to 2841. Same difference, just different number. But yeah, I did that for a year in Twine Palms, and they sent me to Okinawa, Japan.
Okay, shit's getting better.
Kinda.
I mean, fucking Japan.
Kinda.
That's a lot better than sandy fucking desert 29 Palms bullshit.
Yeah. So there were some great things about Japan. Like me and some buddies, we would go spearfishing almost every weekend off of Tsunabe Seawall. And that was fantastic. Now, I will say that I did get into a follow-on course in school, and one of the guys that I was in with my original course back in 29 Palms, he was going to the same unit. So him and I were able to talk. We're able to talk a little bit about what's going on. He's like, hey, by the way, we're deploying. So I found out in comm school that like my unit's deploying. And I mean, of course, you know, a lot of guys, when you ended up joining in 2010 timeframe, you knew that you were signing up for war. You know, we just finished up Iraq. We're getting ready to go to Afghanistan. Like, this was exciting.
This war's already lasted way longer than it should have.
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. But this is exciting. Like, hey, I get to go to war. I get to go do Marine Corps things. So yeah, ended up getting orders to Okinawa, Japan, where I was with Combat Logistics Battalion 4, CLB4. And that was summer of 2011. And then we finally got, after all of our training, our pre-deployment training, we left for Afghanistan January of 2012. So Operation Enduring Freedom.
Yeah, that was right before they swapped to New Dawn. 2012 was whenever they actually swapped it to New Dawn. Because I got the campaign star on my OIF ribbon.
Gotcha.
It's like, oh, you were there when there was actual war going on. It's like there was still war going on. They just changed the fucking campaign name.
Yep.
So it's, I don't know.
But to keep it like succinct, so did 2 years, technically was stationed in Japan for 2 years. I mean, I went everywhere else. I was in 13 different countries while I was in Japan. And ended up getting stationed back in Twine Palms, California with Headquarters Battalion for 3 years. So you go
right back to bullshit.
I went right back to it. Then after that, they sent me to Lafayette, Louisiana, where I got to train reservists, part of 4th Tank Battalion. And that was extremely rewarding. I did that for 3 years.
Playing with tanks, yeah.
We weren't playing with tanks. It was a tow and scout unit. So really, it's Humvees with missiles.
So quicker tanks.
Yeah, and that was the coolest thing ever because, like on a video game, like I don't know, like you play a James Bond game and you have to have a laser designated target, for instance. Okay, well, the Marine Corps has missiles with lasers, and when you point the laser, the missile will move towards the laser in real time.
Oh, you're talking about the painting. Did y'all call it painting?
Well, you painted it when it was coming from like an air, like a sky.
Yeah, it looks like not like an AT-4, but like a javelin.
Okay.
Like a laser javelin, and you sit there and you have to hold the little crosshairs on whatever you're trying to blow up.
Correct. And the thing is that in the Marine Corps we have something very similar, except it shoots off the back of a Humvee, and that same person that is firing the missile is also moving the laser to the target. So that way, like if a tank is moving across a field of battle, you can keep the laser on the tank the whole way. And that's the whole purpose of it.
So they're sending the boom boom while also guiding the boom boom.
Exactly.
I've got an erection.
And that's how I went to go to Fort Polk and Fort Hood, because it's one of the few bases that were around us that would allow for missile detonations.
Well, we cross-train a lot. Marines and Army are probably the closest in terms of like combat zone stuff. Like we actually step foot in the combat zone. The closest thing in the Navy is what, the CBs and I guess the SEALs.
Sure.
But y'all's ranks even kind of follow ours. Like we have private, E-Fuzzy. Then we have private, mosquito wings. Yeah. Private first class, special / corporal. and then sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, master sergeant, first sergeant, sergeant major, command sergeant major.
Mm-hmm.
So our rank system's very close. I think everybody's, well, not everybody. Navy's got a different commission list, but our commission list is the same. You got your lieutenants, captains, majors, lieutenant colonels. Where Navy they go up to like admiral and stuff.
Yeah, Navy is very different, and then the Air Force, they have a similar commission structure, and I think that probably has a lot to do with the fact that the Air Force came from the Army. So, but no, man. So did that for a while. Got to train reservists, and for a while I was thinking about becoming a state trooper in Louisiana. Like I was thinking about getting out. And
so you just drive up and down the whole state because there ain't really shit there.
I was really contemplating getting out. Like I had my class date to go take the test for be a state trooper and whatnot, but I made a bet with my wife, and the bet was essentially, hey, if they select me for staff sergeant, I'll stay in. I didn't think I was going to get selected for staff sergeant. Get staff sergeant at 7.5 years, like come on.
That's bad for y'all?
Well, it's not that it's bad. It's really quick. It's accelerated.
We had E7s in 7 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, an E6, I mean, it's not like unheard of, but it's uncommon. And especially when the year before, like they weren't giving out E6 to my MOS at all.
See, both of my recruiters made E7 in 7 years. And they were talking about how fast it was. But
yeah,
then
they're recruiting, man. They're making mission.
Well,
recruiters get promoted stupid quick.
Well, not my first unit, but my second unit, we had 2 E8s that made E8 in 8 years.
Okay.
So I'm like, how uncommon is it
for
your E grade to be the same year in service?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. There are guys, when I was in, who were trying like hell to make E6, and they didn't have the time and service time and grade at 10 years. Because there's no spots available.
All right, we took a small piss break, so that's why there's a hard edit there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what the fuck were we talking about?
So I was talking a little bit about like my time in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, the shithole.
Okay. So anyways,
not Louisiana, just Fort Polk.
Fort Hood, it's all right.
Well, Fort Hood's Texas.
But so anyways, I ended up making a bet with my wife, and I just did not see myself getting selected. Well, they ended up taking a look at 140 sergeants for promotion, and they promoted 120 of them. So it was like this big giveaway, and I was selected, like I was in zone. So yeah, sure enough, I got staff sergeant. I ended up beating Crow, had to re-enlist. Great. Moving on.
Okay then. And what year is this?
That was 2017.
No, I mean like, well, okay, 2017. So you went to base boot camp and stuff in 2010.
2010, yep.
So you're looking about around 7 years.
Yeah, 7.5. I got promoted to staff sergeant.
So would you re-enlist
just before 7? I got selected. Yeah.
So you re-enlisted for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yep. So fast forward now, I get orders back to 20 Island Palms, California, but it's for school again.
What the fuck? You cannot escape.
No, I couldn't. I could not.
Don't let the palms fool you. Just palm trees are in tropical areas. Yeah, it's 29 palms isn't that fucking tropical.
They're fed by shit water. Like, quite literally, like, it's the retained shit water that they hold. That's what they use to water the palm trees. Anyways, so, yeah, I had to go to school for another year because I made staff sergeant. I'm now, in the Marine Corps, you are a staff NCO, staff non-commissioned officer at E6. Some of the other services, it's E7. So you had to learn the entire gambit of the MOSs in the 2800 field. So you go to school for that for a year. And then I got PCA'd, not PCS'd, which means that you end up staying on the same station that you were originally at. So I got PCA'd for 2 years to headquarters, to Marine Corps Logistics Operations Group in 29 Palms.
That's the first I've ever heard of that.
Yep. So I go to school in 29 Palms. They say, hey, you're just going to pick up your sea bag and you're just going to go to McLeod. So I did McLeod for 2 years, and what they do is they specialize in simulating combat environments to teach logistics officers against a near-peer adversary. So what they'll do is they'll do like mock drills with like Russian combatants And they'll put them in a tent. They'll give them the exact same type of computers that they would use to do these, the radios, the whole 9 yards. And they do these mock simulations as far as like, how am I going to get bullets, beans, and Band-Aids on the battlefield?
Was that just me?
No, that wasn't just you.
Okay.
You're good.
I feel like we're about to lose power.
Huh?
Might be a thunderstorm outside.
It was just sunny whenever we went out there.
But
Isn't that how it is?
Oh yeah, we live in
we
Florida.
live in Florida. Yeah,
It'll
every
be
5
sick.
minutes something's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, it'll rain while the sun's fucking giving you a sunburn.
But yeah, so I did that for 3 years, and then I got orders to Blount Island Command in Jacksonville, Florida, and that's where I ended up settling. So I had a motorcycle injury back in 2018, and it just really messed with my shoulder. So I ended up getting medically separated out we're in 2024 now. So August of 2023, I got medically separated out of Jacksonville, and that's where I live now.
Where did you deploy from? It wasn't 29 Palms. It
Mhm.
was.
I deployed out of Okinawa.
Oh shit! Fucking early. Where'd you deploy to?
So I deployed to Afghanistan. We stayed in the Helmand province. CLB4. So we got CLB4 ended up getting reinforced with an HNS company. So what is that like? HNS, landing and support company. So LS company. So we call them red patchers. Like they got these little red squares on their covers and on the. It's so that it's supposed to that way that they glow if you get hit with an IR. Like like if a pilot's trying to see where they're going, there's little red patches that they got sewed into their uniforms.
We had black squares, and they were covered. So like,
But they stayed on the uniform all the time. So like what would happen is if you're part of this MOS and you're like walking around camp or whatnot, you literally have a red square. It's part of your uniform. And so the joke is like you first get your unit, you've never seen an LS Marine, landing support Marine, before in your life. And the joke is like, what the hell is these red squares on it? Oh, that's how we designate who has AIDS in the Marine Corps.
Don't fuck that. Don't fuck that. You can break it and lose it. Don't fuck it.
So then, of course, like I get to this unit, and we've got an entire platoon, like 40 of them, and they're like, holy hell, what is going on here?
So we had something similar, but it was little black squares, and it was usually hidden by Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we had ugly uniforms. The Army, they've recently changed and it's gotten better.
Yeah.
But the old Digis, the one that looks like you can only blend in with your grandma's
Urban,
couch.
yeah.
Ugh. Well, there's a little green cloth with Velcro on it. You fold it down and it uncovers a black square. And we had them. I forget everywhere we had. We had them on our ACHs. We had them on our shoulders. I think we had them on our pants pockets too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, same fucking. We never really fucking used them.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, we were just truck drivers. We weren't doing really cool shit. We were like, hey, y'all hungry? Okay, here's your food.
It's so for them, like that designation, I mean, literally, it's when they're walking around their cover. They got a little square. It's about, I don't know, probably 1.5 inches wide by maybe 3/4 of an inch tall. And it's on the joint of their pants. I want to say it's on their blouse somewhere too, but it's been a while. And then, yeah, it's on their cover.
So what'd you do while you were deployed?
So they lost my spot for my deployment to be a comm technician. So what they did is they put me in the company office position. But I got to see more shit in the company office position than any of the technicians did, because the technicians, they stayed in what's called an EMI shelter, electromagnetic interference shelter.
Like, was it a Faraday cage, I think is what it's called?
I mean, it's literally like a box. I mean, it's like a storage container, just so that way it doesn't let any kind of like RF signal come out of it, radio frequency signal.
Well, it's also to prevent like EMPs and stuff from fucking
Right.
with it, right? I forget what it's called. I think it's called a Faraday cage.
Maybe.
Like our microwave is technically a Faraday cage because it prevents the microwaves from getting out, but it also prevents shit from getting in.
So I had the opportunity a bunch of times where, like, I'll be in the company office like, hey, elders, they've got this opportunity to do this convoy to Edinburgh or Nowzad.
So you weren't a fobbit?
No, it was not a fobbit.
Fucking A, dude. No fobbits.
So, like, oh, yeah, sure. I'll get to go on it. So I ended up doing about 4 convoy ops. And
I'm going to hurry up. I'm catching up to you.
I'll be polite.
Oh no! I'm almost out.
But yeah, I got to do a couple of convoys that way, in which, you know, kind of details like everything that I dealt with in Afghanistan. But I did probably, when I was doing the medical runs and things like that, I probably did about a little over 40 flight missions. So here's what ends up happening. All right, 2012 in Afghanistan, they were doing the drawdown. All right, so they were no longer moving packages. They were no longer moving equipment. They were only moving people. So Lance Corporal Elders, little E3.
When was this?
This
What
was in
year?
2012. So now they're like saying like, hey, we're no longer flying with equipment or anything like that. You're not shipping equipment. We're only flying personnel in and out because we're taking assets away from these fobs. We're taking assets away from these fobs.
Oh, the drawdown.
Sure. So I've got guys that are at 8, 9 different fobs all over the Helmand province, and they got to get stuff like medication. Every now and then they got to send them a little care package, you know, snacks, mail, that kind of shit.
For us, it didn't matter if you sent anything; it was usually melted.
Exactly, you know. But I mean, at the end of the day, something is better than nothing, you know.
Yeah.
So I just kind of had this idea, like, hey, you know, I can go with my sea bag, you know. And for those of y'all who don't know what a sea bag is, I mean, it's a giant bag that fits on your back. And I'll be
like the duffel bag.
Sure,
the
exactly.
Green.
Yeah. I'll be like fucking Santa Claus when I go there, and I'll have all their mail, I'll have their medications, I'll have whatever kind of knickknacks that they were getting sent from the Girl Scouts, whatever the case may be. So what I ended up doing is I got approval from the commander, and I would fly to all these fobs with my sea bag full of shit, and I would get off the plane, see our HS Marine or LS Marines, and they'd recognize me because, you know, small platoon, like, Elders, what the hell are you doing here? And I'd just be like, this is for you.
Oh, motherfucker.
This is for you. This is for you. I was like Santa Claus, you know? And then I'd get right back. Usually it was on an Osprey or a CH-63. I think it's the 63. What is that? The Flying Stallion?
That's Marine shit.
It's the three engine helicopter. And I would get right back on it and I would go fly again. And I did that for a while.
Did you ever read the letters the kids would send us? They were savages. If you think...
What was it? I think so. University of California, Riverside. I remember this to this day. To this day. University of California, Riverside. They would end up doing like this big care package event, and they would collect all these letters from the kids, and you'd get this care package from UCR, and just, oh man, these kids. I remember writing them when I was a kid. You know, to guys that were forward deployed. At the time, it was, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just weird. It's like, what do you say to this guy? Like, hey, go shoot the bad guys?
Yeah.
You know, I get it. I totally get it. So, yeah, we'd get some odd ones for sure.
The kids were...
Correction, yeah. The CH-53 Super Stallion. Yep.
Oh, the helicopter.
Yeah,
okay.
The helicopter.
Yeah, these kids would write some savage-ass letters. And we would be on we called it a bus, but it was kind of like just an elongated super van.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know, 7 rows of seats. It's like a short bus, if you want to put it that way.
You would ride the short bus.
I was actually driving the fucking short bus.
Mm-hmm.